All right. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Colonel and Kid podcast. I am the kid, Greg Heitman, and the Colonel, he's here in spirit. Colonel Edwin P. Hagen Jr., my grandfather, my mom's dad. That's the basis of this podcast. It's basically a podcast built around my memoir to my grandfather, memoir of my grandfather, memoir of my memoir, how I related to my grandfather, the Colonel. So I just called him Grandpa. But getting started here, October 22nd. It's a Wednesday, and this is a first morning podcast I've tried to do. Didn't start out great. I had some glitch, and the podcast just quit on me after a minute. And I think I didn't have something plugged in all the way, and that's why I quit. So hopefully I got that solved and sound's up and running. Everything's good. So back in the saddle, on track for episode 8. This is episode 8 of the podcast. We do have a special podcast coming up. It's already been recorded, but I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to number that episode because I want to keep the episodes of the podcast in line with the chapters of the memoir so that they kind of stay synced up and make sense overall if you're ever going to listen to them and listen to the chapters and listen to the podcast themselves. So, and also it matches up with the week 8. This is the week 8 of NFL season. And this is the 8th podcast. I've been just doing one podcast a week. If I do more than one podcast a week, then I probably won't number them so that they don't get out of sync. So anyway, things are going pretty good. Gonna go do some elk hunting this weekend. So Angela's got a tag, so try to guide her to get an elk. See how that goes. I don't know. The weather's been pretty mild. See how that affects the elk out there on the hoof, and hopefully just need some luck. Just need a little luck to get an elk and fill the freezer with some nice protein for the year. So anyway, so today's chapter is chapter 8. I think I said that. This matches up with episode 8 of the podcast, and the title of the chapter is called The Trees. And stay tuned for that. It's coming up later in the podcast. We're going to go through a couple things first. And excuse me, just this first section, I call this abusive language. This is the section, a recurring section in the podcast that I've decided that's abusive language. And I also have toyed with calling it verbal abuse, but it's really just an examination of the English language and language in general, of how ridiculous things are sometimes in the way we put words together and talk about things. And today's abusive language topic is what I consider got to be the stupidest word in the English language. And it is the word biannual. And I mean, it makes no sense. This word just has, it's beyond ridiculous because it has two meanings, which kind of are almost the opposite of each other. It means either twice a year or every 2 years. So I don't understand how that became an actual thing. It means like you just pick one of those meanings and stick with it. So it'd be, oh yeah, biannual, twice a year. I mean, obviously, bi typically means two, like bicycle, a 2-wheeled cycle. So it's a bicycle. Bisect, you're going to bisect a line, you're going to cut it in half or cut it into two. So I don't know how biannual became both, twice a year and then every 2 years. So I think we need an actual form of council on language, like a blue ribbon panel, and just go through some of these issues and straighten them out once and for all and not have this confusion, because it just makes no sense. And This was a word that I came across because I get I have like a daily email from Merriam-Webster-Dictionary.com or whatever it is, and they send me words of the day, and this was one of them. And I thought, this is a perfect candidate for this section of the podcast. So, okay, I got that off my chest. It's very, you know, I, this is probably poor planning to put this at the beginning because I'm so disgusted now with the whole idea that this is an actual word that it's maybe tainting the whole rest of the podcast. But I'm gonna try to get over it and get over myself and move on move on to something better. I don't know. Is it better? This is the baseball update. And again, baseball is virtually dead to me. I feel sorry for baseball because it's so slow. I mean, when you're trying to watch baseball during the football season, it just seems like torture. But it is Major League Baseball playoff time, and it's actually the World Series starting on this Friday. And we have two teams set to go at it. It's the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. And there was the Dodgers swept the Brewers in the National League Championship Series, and the game 4, which was the final game in the sweep because it's the best of 7. It was Shohei Otani, the famed Japanese baseball player that I think I mentioned him previously, that he may be the best baseball player of all time. And here I am, really not even watching it. And I didn't see this game, but this they say this could be one of the greatest sporting achievements of all time because he plays as a pitcher and also as a hitter. And that's just not done in Major League Baseball. They have, all these years they talk about Babe Ruth way back when was a great pitcher and a great hitter, but he never did it during the same game. He had like a portion of his career where he was a great pitcher, and then later I think he became a power hitter. And here Shohei Otani comes over, and he's like one of the greatest pitchers of all time and one of the greatest hitters of all time, and power hitter. So he had, in his game 4 win as a pitcher, I think he threw 6 scoreless innings, struck out 10, and then as a hitter, he hit 3 home runs. So I've heard people talk about this as one of the greatest sporting achievements of all time for any highest level of professional sports. And I don't know, I could be convinced. I guess I can't throw out anything else that might be better, especially this day and age when we have this just a specialist. You might be a power hitter, or you might be a singles hitter, or you're a great defensive player, or you're a reliever, you're a starting pitcher. But if suddenly you're doing all those things, I don't know. It's very impressive, and I'm kind of sorry I missed it. But what are you gonna do? The World Series starts on Friday night, and I'll be hunting, so I won't be able to watch it. Maybe listen to it on the radio out in the woods. But it's tough road to hoe for baseball up against college football. College football will be playing on Friday night on TV, and then a lot of local high school football games be taking place. So I don't know how much of an audience they get. Well, maybe I should look into that, and maybe we can talk about the actual viewership of a World Series game. And again, I should mention it's the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays beat Seattle. I was kind of cheering for Seattle. I'm not a big fan of the other countries trying to play our national pastime game. Canada coming in here and playing baseball. So rooting for the Dodgers. And I think they're playing in Toronto to start. So I don't know. I guess I wish I had more interest in it, but I don't. So stay tuned for more updates on that. Give you an update next week. But I guess Seattle put up a good fight against the Blue Jays. They tried. They were ahead. What was it, 3-1 going into the 7th inning, bottom of the 7th. The Blue Jays were playing at home in Toronto, and George Springer known cheater when they played for the Houston Astros when they won the World Series, and they cheated. He had a 3-run homer against Seattle and put them up 4-3 in the bottom of the 7th, and Blue Jays hung on to beat poor Seattle, who's never been to a World Series. The only team in the Major League Baseball that has never been to a World Series. And I think when did they start the franchise? 1976 or 77, somewhere in there. So the whole life of their franchise, they've never made it to the World Series. And well, something to look forward to in the future. Maybe we'll see. Yeah, let's just go into the NFL update from last week. The picks. I'm not going to go through all the games. I'll just tell you that I had a pretty good week. 15 games. I was 11 wins and 4 losses, and I started off terrible. I got the first 2 games wrong. Steelers. Oh, I picked the Steelers and they lost to the Bengals. Just a terrible loss for them. And then the London game, the first Sunday game, that was in the morning. I picked the Jaguars because they play there a lot, but the Rams beat the Jaguars, so I was starting 0-2 to start the week, and I didn't do too bad the rest of the way. I did have a glitch in my Yahoo system because apparently I used my phone to do it, and scrolling up, I must have switched one of the games, which was Dallas and the Redskins. I went through my tape, and I did pick the Cowboys on record when I doing the last podcast, but somehow in Yahoo it switched. I must have just touched it wrong or something, and ended up picking the Redskins on that game, and so I'm giving myself credit for it. So the stats are I'm 72-36 on the year, which is 67%, 66.6%. I round it to 67, which is not too bad. I'm getting 2 games out of 3. I'm fine with that. But there was some good games. We'll just go on. Let's go on just to the preview the next games for next week. Week 8 of the NFL season. And I'm going to miss it. I'll probably miss the games because I'll be hunting, but that's so we'll see how it affects my picking of the games in the future if I miss the whole week of data and just watching games and seeing how things go and being able to evaluate how things are going. So I don't know. Luckily I get to see the Vikings play. Vikings play in the Thursday night game. And the Vikings are playing at Chargers Thursday night out in LA. And I picked the Vikings every game so far because I'm picking with my heart. And that's stopping today. I'm picking the Chargers because it's a short week. Chargers have a quarterback that is just, I don't know, tenfold better than any of the Vikings quarterbacks. The Vikings are going to be starting Carson Wentz again, who is probably one of the worst starting quarterbacks. I mean, he's a backup, but he's forced into starting. And I think this is a clue that the Vikings drafted J.J. McCarthy as their franchise quarterback 2 years ago. And he was hurt all last year. And then he got hurt again early this year. And I think this is sort of foretelling that they don't have confidence in him. So they're just going with Carson Wentz still. And Carson Wentz has proved he's just not a starting NFL quarterback. And it kind of makes me sad, but I'm stopping and picking the Vikings. I don't know if I'll be able to pick them the rest of the year. I think they're over. I really do. I mean, they lost to the Eagles in an embarrassing fashion. Their defense is supposed to be so vaunted and good, and Brian Flores is supposed to be this defensive coordinator that's just a genius, and they just got shredded by the Eagles, who are just haven't been playing great. Their offense had been struggling all year. The defense has held them in games, and it was a real letdown, eye opener of how bad the Vikings are. So I don't know. I won't dwell on that too much. I'll try not to dwell on it, but it's a real bummer overall. So next game we have, it's in, I don't know if it's overseas. I think it's in maybe Germany or Spain, I think they said. But it's Dolphins at Falcons and the Dolphins, I think you can stick a fork in them. They just have completely collapsed. They had some controversy with their quarterback calling out team members that didn't show up for meetings, and he was disappointed. Then he got super criticized for calling out his teammates publicly at a press conference, and I think the team's just totally lost. That coach is going to be fired at the end of the year, if not sooner. So I'm picking Falcons. They're not great, but I don't know. I think they're in less disarray. They're building something, possibly. They got beat by Falcons got beat by 49ers last week. Dolphins got beat by the Browns, so both those losses were pretty harsh for each of those teams. But I think the Falcons have a little better just cohesion right now, better team, better running game. I think their defense is in the top 10 overall too, so I don't know. Might be okay. Might be a good game. Might be competitive. We'll see. We'll just see who comes to play. I think the Falcons have a little better attitude, so going Falcons. Jets at Bengals. Not going to say much about this. Bengals have Joe Flacco as a starting quarterback. Jets are terrible. They're the only winless team, and I'm not going to be tricked into thinking the NFL is embarrassed by them losing all the time, so I'm still going to pick the Bengals, but that's a toss-up. I don't count on that game at all. Browns at Patriots. Patriots are rolling. Browns are terrible. Starting a rookie quarterback. They did beat the Dolphins last week, if that counts for anything. Bills at Panthers. Bills coming off a bye, playing the Panthers. Panthers starting quarterback Bryce Young. High ankle sprain, so going to be starting a veteran, Andy Dalton. So I'm not as confident in this game as maybe I might have been. But Bills coming off the bye and 2 losses. I think they're going to be looking to right that ship, and I think they're going to handle Panthers. The Bears at Ravens. Ravens coming off a bye. Lamar Jackson's supposedly going to be back from his injuries, hamstring. I'm picking Ravens at home. Desperation. Bears, not that good a team. 49ers at Texans. Texans, no good. 49ers injured. 49ers are able to still win somehow. I don't know how they do it. Fred Warner as their middle linebacker. That's just all-star. Broke his ankle and dislocated the ankle, and he's out for the year. And still, they managed to beat the Falcons at home last week. So I'm gonna go 49ers at Texans. Texans can't seem to stop the bleeding. They're just losing left and right. Buccaneers at Saints. Buccaneers lost to Detroit. Buccaneers have lots of injuries again with their wide receivers. Mike Evans went down, broken collarbone. They just come back from bad hamstring. Broke his collarbone. Pretty rough for him, but I think they have some depth in wide receiver that's coming out. It's pretty interesting. And the Saints are just not a good team. Total rebuild for them. So going Buccaneers there. Cowboys at Broncos. Cowboys did beat the Redskins last week, which was very good for me, my picking. Broncos came back, a record-setting day when they held scoreless for 3 quarters, scored 33 points in the 4th quarter and beat the Giants at home. Just lucked out, really, but give them credit for coming back. Titans at Colts. Titans are the worst team in the league. They got a gift win against Arizona, which was a total joke. Officiating just ripped off Arizona on that game. Titans should also be winless. Colts are the best team in the league, which is a big surprise. So we're going Indianapolis Colts, and one of the greatest nicknames of the year so far, Daniel Jones. They're calling him Indiana Jones as quarterback for the Colts. I like that. That was pretty clever. Whoever coined that the first time. Appreciate that. Packers at Steelers. This is a coin flip. I just went back and forth on this. I ended up picking Packers for some reason. I think they just have a little more talent all around. Steelers defense is not what it was. They had a bad loss to Cincinnati last week, and Joe Flacco coming as their quarterback out of nowhere. There's no way that Cincinnati should have beat Steelers last week, yet they did. And I don't know. I think the Packers had a tough game against Arizona out in the desert in Arizona. Barely hung on to win that. I don't think either teams are particularly good, but I think the Packers will handle the aging Steelers, aging Aaron Rodgers, and the aging steel curtain, which is getting pretty rusty and apparently not much of a curtain. And then finally, there's only 13 games. This 13th game on Monday night will be the Redskins at Chiefs. The battle of the Native American teams. And I don't think it's going to be a battle. I think Chiefs got themselves upright. And, the Redskins, Jaden Daniels got hurt again, pulled his hamstring or did something to his hamstring. I don't think he's starting. So I think I saw something like Chiefs were favored by 10 points in this game, which is just unreal. When you think that the Redskins they made it to the NFC Championship game last year, got beat by the Eagles, and the Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl, but Redskins are just, I don't know. They're a shell of their former selves from last year, so I don't think there's any chance for the Redskins. But, of course, that's why they play the game. Never know. Maybe Mahomes goes down with injury in the first quarter. Who knows? Maybe he pulls his own hamstring. He's been remarkably healthy. So, I don't want to jinx him. But I'm picking the Chiefs, and that would really be bad if I, pick the Chiefs and they lose. I'm counting on I want to get back to a 70% winning clip. We're at 67, came up 1 point from last week, 66% up to 67. Be nice to say I got, picked at a rate of 7 out of 10. And this is not against any spread. This is just picking winners each week. And like I said, only 13 games. We've got a bunch of teams on buys. So 6 teams on buys: Cardinals, Lions, Jaguars, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks. So, yeah, short week. I gotta hopefully concentrate here and get these picks right and see how it goes. And going back strong for week 9 after taking a couple days off to go hunting. So should be good. So anyway, we're on the next section. We're up to chapter 8 on the memoir, Colonel and the Kid memoir. And I'm going to drink water and try to do my oral reading here, my audible version of this book, chapter 8. Now let's just get started right away. Chapter 8, the trees. And as usual, start the beginning of the chapter with a quote. And this quote is, quote, "The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now." And that's a end quote. That's the Chinese proverb. And I really like that because I really enjoy trees. And it's funny, just as an aside before we get really into the chapter, I don't know my trees very well. I don't have a good grasp of identifying trees and being able to name them just, off the top of my head. Boom, boom. There's a maple. There's an oak, or a certain kind of oak. There's all kinds of maples in between, and there's all kinds of oaks, and there's different poplars, cottonwoods, mulberries, box. I just don't know them. I wish I did. I should do some more studying, I guess, but kind of figure out, maybe that has passed me by in my life. But anyway, on to the chapter. Let's read about some trees. The draft title of this chapter was, quote, "The Country House," end quote. I had to change it because that title dripped of some sort of royal connection. Prince Gregory and his family will be spending this weekend at the country house. Ridiculous. I think my family has always been firmly planted in the middle class, so don't get the wrong idea. The country house is in reference to Grandma and Grandpa's house a few miles west of Siston, South Dakota, off Roberts County Road 28. As I mentioned previously, the house was halfway up the Coteau with a beautiful view of the cropland below and the town of Siston, a short drive away. And I have the first photo of the chapter here, and this is, I'll read the caption and describe it for you. Image showing the location of Grandma and Grandpa's country house, a mile from the golf course and just a few miles from Siston, South Dakota. And this is from a satellite photo from Google Earth, courtesy of the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture. So, and I'll describe the photo here. Just a nice satellite photo of a lot of green. They took this during the growing season. You can see Siston on the right side of the photo, and Grandma and Grandpa's house. There's a little pin marking their house, and you can kind of make out the Valley View Country Club there, the golf course for Siston, just a mile away, and then see all this green pastures and some cropland in there in the satellite photo. And it's South Dakota Highway 10 is the main highway going I guess west of Siston towards Grandma and Grandpa's house, and then you would turn off onto the County Road 28, Roberts County Road 28, and that would take you to Grandma and Grandpa Hagen's house there. I think they had about 2 acres, with most of the property behind the house. My grandparents had moved out of Siston proper to their slice of paradise for rural living, and it filled my childhood with many memories. One of the primary images that comes to my mind is an early project Grandpa planned and executed in the backyard. That was planting trees. Grady was the principal laborer for this endeavor, as he was fully entrenched into double digits of age and ready to begin his life as a workaholic that he remains today. I estimate that I was 9 years old and less interested in work, and easily bored with the tedious task of digging in the dirt and putting the sticks in the ground. They didn't look like trees at all, just straight dowel-like pieces of wood. It was unimaginable that those sticks would become a beautiful shelter belt and a home to birds and rabbits, as well as providing protection from the ever-present wind of South Dakota. And here I have a second photo of the chapter, and I'll read the caption and try to give a little description. This is a photo of 2 maps from Grandma and Grandpa's lot that were recovered from their garage when they sold their house and moved. The images were tacked to a piece of paneling, and for me, an indication of the pride of ownership. Details of each map are shown below. Per the map, the date indicates June 1973. So there's kind of an old satellite photo, black and white satellite photo with kind of shows the lots, the lot lines, and the neighbors, and then Grandpa's house. And he had kind of put in red ink kind of the property line for his house and property. And then on the other side of this satellite photo, and these are both tacked to one piece of paneling with thumbtacks, and it's just it looks more like a survey book image, kind of showing the plotted acreages and the lot lines for each of the platted areas out along just this county road, this little development out there. And then there's a detail of the photo. And I guess it kind of shows, I don't know if that's the power line or the main line that Grandpa was kind of highlighting, written in there. And just a interesting little drawing on the satellite photo. And then this is another enlarged detail of the photo, of the other photos shown below. So, and I'll insert those into the video podcast if you want to look at those in any more detail. But back to the chapter. With Grady under his command, Grandpa got the multi-day task completed. It was a big job. There were several rows of trees in an L shape on the northwest side of the house and yard. I'm pretty sure it included a row of lilacs, honey locust, spruce, and others. Obviously, the spruce trees look like evergreens from the day they were planted, but I'm still in awe over the seemingly sterile sticks placed in the ground and what they had become in 1 year, and later in 20 years. What an amazing forest Grandpa and Grady helped create. The life lesson? They say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The benefits of trees are so overwhelming. If nothing else, in all the words that I type in this memoir, I'm hoping to inspire you you, the reader, to go for it. Plant a tree or a whole shelter belt of trees and enjoy watching them develop. The return on your investment is immeasurable and will definitively last longer than your lifetime. The joy and personal satisfaction from watching your effort literally take root and grow is something you can experience every time you look at it. Take it from me, here in Santa Fe, I planted a Santa Fe cottonwood 15 years ago. And I add parenthetically, it's not really cottonwood, it's a poplar because it doesn't have any of the cotton that you would see floating down in seeds. But I planted that tree when it was 6 feet tall, my height, when I stuck it in the ground. Now I am amazed every day I see it. It's about 40 feet tall now, and it's such a good feeling to know that tree is part of me. And then when I wrote this, that was probably about 5 years ago. So now it's about 20 years old, maybe a little taller. It's pretty big. I know parenthetically, I might add too that my neighbor he has talked to me about that. He's kind of scared that it's so big that what if the wind blew it down or it fell on his house? It's like, well, that's what insurance is for. So anyway, excuse me. My grandparents enjoyed their country house for 30 plus years, with those trees adding an enhanced experience that can't be denied. And then I have a photo of my Santa Fe cottonwood tree that I planted well, it's a photo from 2022, but I planted it in, I believe, 2005. So at the time that picture was taken, had been there 17 years. And then I have another photo from the front of my grandpa and grandma's house, and that's note here is circa 1988, and note the trees peeking above the house from the backyard. And so those trees had grown quite tall, so you could see them even over the back of the house with the sun going down in the west. There, it's a pretty good picture. And then finally, the final picture of this chapter, and I'll read the caption here and then describe it. And it's a photo of Grandpa and Grandma Hagen in their backyard next to a loaded apple tree circa 1979. They have it's Grandpa on the left and Grandma in the middle, and then the apple tree on the right side of the photo, and the branch hanging down, just straining under the weight of a bunch of nice, beautiful red apples. And Grandpa's wearing a plaid shirt and smiling, and Grandma's smiling at the camera. She's wearing a white blouse, red pants, and Grandpa's wearing his plaid shirt and blue jeans and standing there posing but next to their apple tree. And pretty classic photo. Very much how I picture my grandma and grandpa. So finally, in this chapter 8, it's a special chapter, I guess, because I have 2 quotes to end the chapter and wrap up the Colonel and the Kid memoir chapter for this week, episode 8. So the first quote, acts of creation are ordinarily reserved for gods and poets, but humbler folk may circumvent this restriction if they know how. To plant a tree, to plant a pine, for example, one need neither be god nor poet. One need only own a shovel, end quote. And that was Aldo Leopold. He was a conservationist from, I think he did most of his writing in the 50s and 60s, and very well-known conservationist and author of one of my favorite books, the Sand County Almanac. Tried to read that every couple of years just to, refresh my idea of conservation and his sharing of the stories of his life. I know he was killed fighting a wildfire, I think in the grasslands in Wisconsin. I think he was died trying to fight the fire over there. That's in Wisconsin, where he had a cabin. He bought some land in Sand County, Wisconsin. That's where he wrote the Sand County Almanac, just a year-long history lesson and recording of his his years spent refurbishing and building up his little farm place he had there. It's a really good book if you're ever interested in just checking it out. Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold. And finally, last quote for this chapter and ending the Colonel and the Kid memoir reading for today. Quote, I think that I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree, end quote. And of course, that's from the poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer, famous poem about trees. So anyway, that's the reading for this week's Colonel and Kid memoir. And chapter 9 its title is The Peonies. So stay tuned for that for the next chapter. That should be a good one. So anyway, moving along. I forgot to grab some of my books. I was going to do some marketing for the books today, but I don't have them here. They're out in a different room. So we're going to skip the marketing of the books today and go ahead onto the next section. The next recurring section that I have. I like to give a music update every podcast. And one of the things I wrote down, had some notes on here, is the last concert I went to. I haven't been to a concert for quite a while, and I just don't enjoy the concerts because they're so loud. I just cannot take that super loud music anymore. I used to be able to sort of enjoy it, but even the last few concerts, bigger concerts I went to, I think the one that sticks up in my mind most recently went to see Kenny Loggins, who had a great show, but I have to bring earplugs now because I cannot take that. It just it just starts driving me crazy. I'm just deafened and my ears ring, just terrible headache. So what's the point of going to a concert if you can't even listen to it? So I don't haven't been to a concert for probably a couple of years now. Maybe it's been about a year because I was trying to go back and I did see Michael Martin Murphey. He gave a little, it was amplified, but it was barely amplified. It was in a little, at the Santa Fe Museum downtown here. And, it was awesome. I mean, I think he's almost 80 years old, but he guys had a big, huge hit song called Wildfire way back in the 70s. And it was awesome to hear him sing that. And then he had a guest singing that song with him because she was going to be starring in the movie. They made a movie adaptation based on the song called Wildfire. And the star of that movie was Chevelle Shepherd. And she happens to be from Farmington, New Mexico. And she won one of the seasons on The Voice, I believe. So she was there. And Angela and I went to the concert. And before the concert, you could go by and get your picture taken with both of them. So we had a picture taken with Chevelle and Michael Martin Murphey. And then the concert was probably only about, I don't know if there's even 200 people there. And it was a small little auditorium. It's more like almost like a church pews and stuff. And we were in the, I don't know, we were maybe the third row. I think we got special tickets so you could actually go and get your picture taken beforehand and stuff. So it was pretty cool. Really enjoyed that. And I don't know. It's maybe I should have gone to the recent concert. They had Paul McCartney came to Albuquerque this fall, and I guess I don't know what the tickets were starting just for like general admission lawn tickets. You can just get on the grass. I think they were selling for initially, if you could get in to buy them, it was like about $250, and then aftermarket there was tickets were I think over $1,000 each just for general admission. And this at the Isleta Amphitheater in Albuquerque. I mean, you can barely see the stage from this general admission, and most of the seats are just terrible. And I just said, no, I don't. It's a former Beatle. I mean, I thought this is probably one of the last chances I'm ever going to have to see a Beatle. But I said no, just for that price and just for it's just no fun because it's just so crowded. Can't see it very well. I mean, they project it on the screen, but you're just watching it on the screen instead of being able to see it live. It is just so much better just to go to like this small venue. Um, even in like some live music in some of the bars, it's still gets pretty dang loud, but it's just so much better to be able to see them live. And it's just, I don't know. I just don't have the desire to go to these big venues and get my ears blasted out of my head. So anyway, I should call this section "Old Man Yells at Sky" because that's what I sound like, just complaining old man here. But I don't know. I like music. I'm a music guy, but it's just, I think they've ruined music, trying to get these arenas and these big, huge venues and just gouge people for money. And I don't know. I'm protesting it. I will not participate in this scam. So anyway, and on to the final section before we close it off. We're 40 minutes in, so maybe a little shorter podcast today. That's fine. Maybe 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 I should have gone through more NFL evaluation, but next time. I'm kind of busy trying to get ready for going on this elk hunt and get everything organized to get out there for what's going to be like 5 or 6 days in the woods. So I got to have enough supplies to be able to survive that long. But anyway, the final section for today, of course, we have the license to podcast. And I don't know if you can see over here, if you're watching the podcast, I have my new studio decoration. It's my old personalized license plate from when I lived in South Dakota many years ago. I think the tag on that was 2000, and that's the year I actually moved away to Iowa, moved to Ames, Iowa, when I started working for Federal Highway 25 years ago. So I got got rid of my personalized plate and just got a normal plate after that in Iowa. Maybe I can dig out my Iowa plate, hold that up on one of these podcasts in the future. But anyway, I hung that on the wall. This is my new studio where I do most of the podcasting now. Except when I have guests, and then it's back out to the kitchen table for accommodating a guest podcast. So, but anyways, I did want to share one of the license plates I took a picture of and I saw the other day. And for the video podcast, I'll post that on here. But the license I saw, it was on a Subaru, and it said "Wait Up," and it was some sort of Subaru sports car type. And it's "Wait Up." It's WAITUP. Like, hey, wait up for me. I'm going too slow. So I don't know if it was kind of a sarcastic wait up, or that's its tone. It's what you would say after seeing that car pull out in front of you. Anyway, I got a picture of that license plate, that personal plate, and I'll post that on here so you can see it if you want to look in the video podcast. But otherwise, it's just described. Then I also I found a little sticky note from when I was actually working in my office, and when I go home for lunch, and I would see license plates sometimes, and I would write some of the personal plates on my little sticky note, and I came across, I don't know if it was stuck to some papers I had, it kind of fell out, but I had a couple that I wanted to mention this time, and I thought they're interesting. I'm not even sure if I fully understand them, but I thought maybe I'll share them and people can maybe decipher them for me or tell me what they mean. And the first one it's a New Mexico plate, and it's LQD and then it's got the Z symbol in the middle, and then MSE, and I'm LQD, that'd be liquid, and then MSE, I'm not sure what that is. Liquid mouse? And maybe I should have taken a note and put what kind of vehicle it was, but I don't know. I don't remember ever seeing it again. Who knows? And then the second plate is, I think it was a New Mexico plate. I'm not even sure. I don't have a note here. It's just the letters of the license plate, letters and numbers. And this one says, I'll spell it out. IGOCON2. I go con 2. So I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it did catch my eye, and I will share that with you. And maybe you can get back to me and let me know and inform me and educate me and maybe embarrass me that I don't know what I'm even looking at here. So anyway, that's it for this podcast. I will sign off and we'll say goodbye. It's always see you next time. And I remind you to be positive, take action, enjoy this fall weather we're having. Or the football season. I don't know if that's picking up on the podcast, but it's 11 a.m. No, it's actually noon. I'm sorry. It was my noon alert from my cuckoo clock. I'm not sure if that showed up on the podcast or not, but sorry if it did, and sorry it got me distracted. But anyway, wish me luck elk hunting. Hopefully, can get a nice elk for Angela, and we can share a picture of her with her big trophy elk on the podcast next time and have some good stories to tell. Possibly, I don't know. Maybe she doesn't want to tell the stories of elk hunting on my podcast, but we'll try to encourage her to share. So anyway, again, stay positive, take action, glass half full all the time, and I will see you next time. Knock, and the door will be open to you. Seek, and you will find. Ask, and you shall be given. All right. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.